One of the more fascinating alternative history threads is the idea that there was a major reset in human history in the late 1700s. Old world empires like Tartaria were erased. New powers rose and the story we're taught today was rewritten. Let's unpack it. First, the timeline. 1776. America declares independence. Adam Weishaupt founds the Illuminati in Bavaria. The Rothschild banking dynasty begins consolidating power across Europe, and many maps after this period begin dropping Tartary, which had been widely labeled in earlier centuries. Then we have the late 1700s to 1800s. The Industrial Revolution begins, bringing centralization of power, colonial expansion, and huge shifts in technology. Finally, architecture on a massive scale, cathedrals, world fairs, these mysterious star forts, all supposedly built in just a few years before vanishing again. Some were demolished, others repurposed as government buildings, museums, and train stations. So if we look at a map of Europe in the year 1650, for example, we can see the Ottoman Empire still occupying much of southeastern Europe. A huge area simply labeled Tartaria stretching from Poland to China, and the rest of the world pretty much as we know it. But fast forward to an 1840 map and the labels have changed dramatically. Tartaria has almost completely vanished. Central Asia is now labeled, well, more centrally. Asian cities like Samarkand are now labeled with Chinese names. The Americas have been fully colonized, and even Africa is now labeled with European place names. Something big happened between 1650 and 1840. The reset theory suggests a global upheaval, perhaps a hidden war, a natural cataclysm or engineered event that wiped out the old Tartarian order, leaving only pockets of survivors whose technologies and knowledge were too advanced for the times. These survivors, it is suggested, were persecuted, their innovations suppressed, and their memories of the old world erased. This catastrophe, whatever its nature, was then covered up, and the story we've been told ever since. Some believers point to sudden appearance of centralized banking families like the Rothschilds, who during this time gained enormous influence by financing the Napoleonic Wars, and later the Congress of Vienna, which redrew the map of Europe after the defeat of Napoleon. Other believers suggest the invention of money, credit, and double entry accounting allowed for wealth accumulation on a scale never seen before, leading to unprecedented levels of poverty and disparity. This, too, started around this time. Then there are the world fairs. Admittedly, my knowledge of 19th century architecture is limited, but I am not sure how people can claim that such structures could have been built in just a few years by societies who supposedly lacked the tools and techniques to build them. If they really were built so quickly, that would indeed be impressive. It seems unlikely that entire nations could suddenly develop the engineering and construction capability to erect such monuments in a matter of years. So the idea that these structures point to a lost civilization makes more sense. They whitewashed and restored the buildings in that time. Why not constructed? Construction time would be realistic then. As for the orphan trains, the theory goes that after the reset, masses of orphan children were distributed across Europe and America, some to be adopted, some to work as servants, and some to live in institutions. Reliable records exist for most institutionalized children, and those records show they were mostly orphans by circumstance, not cataclysm. Another piece of the puzzle is the family behind it all, the Rothschilds. They began as middlemen for shipments of wine and other luxury goods, then evolved into bankers, eventually controlling all major European financial markets. Their influence over governments is hard to overstate. They basically owned the kings and queens of Europe in the early 1800s. So it makes sense that they, along with other families like the Rockefellers and the Vatican Bank, the Institute for International Law, Finance, and Trade, would have the power to decide what knowledge would be preserved and what erased. So is there any truth to the reset theory? Who knows? The disappearance of Tartaria from maps, the rise of centralized banking, and the rewriting of history in the late 18th century. all make sense. But do they converge in quite the way the theory suggests? I'm not so sure. Still, it's fun to speculate. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.